Hello, friends. Today we are doing an episode 2 like we promised at the end of the last episode because the episode it was so interesting and there's so much to talk about with that time. The last episode, we were talking about Mr. Rajan being the dubbing king of India, and there's so much that happened post the release of the film Bombay and how he got to that point. Today, we are, however, going to link all of that to what's happening today in the context of today. Everything that he did, how does that reflect in the context of today? And I found this very, very interesting to talk about.
Thank you, Asad. Yes, this topic of dubbing, the concept of dubbing was, like I said, in the early 80s, 90s, was basically meant for the South or the other kind of semi-pornographic films which were made in the South earlier. And that was where they used to dub it and release it. It was like an underground thing, and it used to happen. It was not looked upon very nicely. But when I started in 1990 with my first film, Apu Raja, and when I did my publicity, as I talked earlier, then we did a blitzkrieg of publicity with Apu Raja, with Dalpati Nayakan, and with all my other films. Everybody thought that there's some new guy gone bonkers, he's doing something really stupid, because these film producers, mainstream film producers, spend crores of rupees to make a film, 30, 40, 50 crores.
I think that mindset, the mindset you're talking about, culminated in the moment where those two big producers said to you, "Arey, aapki to dubbed film hai na?
Yeah.
Aap delay kar
That
lein."
is what hit me when these Ghayal and Dil producers Inder Kumar and Rajkumar Santoshi said that aapki to dubbed film hai, to aap wait kar sakte ho. That kind of got me a little more charged. Ke let me do something big, because I never changed my dates. They changed their dates 1 week later. I always have had a vision of at least think 5, 10 years, 15 years in advance, which is now coming true, which I'll explain to you how. So with this dubbing area which I found was something which was a very grey area, and there is such a huge market today that today dubbing has become the thing of the present and the future. Coming back to this, when all this happened and we did this dubbing story, the episode where I got a little unhappy, disappointed was when Bombay happened, like we talked about last time.
Yes.
And Mani Ratnam film Bombay was actually promised to me, and it didn't work out for whatever reasons, and finally it was released by Jammu Sugandh, backed by ABCL, Mr. Bachchan's
I
company.
think you spoke in detail about why it didn't happen.
I did speak about it because of the price
Yeah, the
that went
interested
up.
parties wanted to up
You
the
wanted to
stakes
up
and
it had become like an auction kind
Yeah,
of
I
thing.
mean, this is-
That every time we went back, they were up the price a bit, and eventually, in spite of everything and my relations with Mr. Mani Ratnam, everything, ultimately it all landed out, not because of Mr. Mani Ratnam, because he is a very genuine and nice person, but I think he had a partner with him who was handling the financial aspect of it, that he got a little bit more probably need for getting maximizing his
धंधे में तो ये सब होता है ना
ये तो सब धंधे में चलता है तो but there are no regrets, no faults of anybody. It just happened, one of those things. You win some, you lose some. But Bombay, of course, was a huge success. It was a beautiful film, and Rahman's music was very nice in that. And consequently, after Bombay, there were a row of other films which I had lined up, which I will talk about on each episode, on each of my films, which I did with Prabhudeva, Nagma, and another one which we did with Nagarjun and Tabu, which happened to be my last film. But in between all this that happened, after I was a little disgruntled with what happened with Bombay, and the prices of South Indian films started soaring skyrocketing. Uh, People got a little bit anxious, but you have to, in end of the day, the bottom line, and you have to make money out of it. So I had my thoughts on doing something different, which again, I went to Paramount Films, Mr. Sarabjit Singh that time. He was heading Paramount India. And I told him, I said, yeah, you've got some films, let's dub them. So he says, what are you talking about? So he says, I said, all the action films which are there, like True Lies, for example. That time True Lies had just released. And I said, this True Lies, which is an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, is full of action. I mean, this kind of action the Indian audience or the Indian cinema has not seen. You see, these English films were being released only in the A center, all the main metro towns, Bombay, Delhi, Madras, Bangalore. That's it. And 1 week release out of the theater and it's done. This was being done because Paramount, Universal, Columbia, all these people had their offices here. India is a huge market. But they were not exploiting it enough to reach the deep ends, right up to the B, C, D centers because of the language issue. Now, I thought of it, I said, why not I take all these films and take it down to the rural areas, urban areas, B and C center, and the rural areas, where they have not seen technical excellence, the VFX, and the action ever before, other than what they've seen in South films or in Hindi films. So the action part of it excited me. I said, this we must do. So as an experiment, I asked him, I said, give me True Lies. We will dub it and release it and see how it does. He had a caveat with it. He says, Rajan, I'll give you True Lies provided you take Schindler's List, because that's with me. Schindler's List, as you all know, was Steven Spielberg's best film, which he made in black and white. And I told him, I said, Schindler's List, I am a fan and I'm an idol of Steven Spielberg. And I will tell you a little story later about my animation film, Ramayan, how it led me to him.
Oh, we have a full chapter on it.
Yeah,
I think
we will talk
we'll
about
go there in that episode.
how he invited me to LA, to his SKG campus, and what discussion we had about. That's another very interesting thing which we'll talk about. But the dubbing part of it was, I said, let's do this. He said, yeah, I don't know how you're going to do this. I said, what are you going to charge me? I was talking of price. He said, I'll take you about 15 lakhs if that's okay, but I'll give you a complete dubbed version of it, because we have a person whom he was Shakti Saman's son, who was doing dubbing in Shakti Saman's studio. So he was dubbing all the English films. So I said, fine, you give me a dubbed version with it. He said, we'll give you a dubbed version, we'll give you the number of prints you want, we'll give you publicity, posters, everything, all inclusive. Because that excited him also. He said, let's try it out. And Sarabjit was a very, very good guy. So we did this and we released it and we sold it to distributors, because I had a chain of distributors from my earlier films, and I called them over, had a meeting with them. And I said, listen, this is a new idea. I'm thinking, what do you think of this? He says, sir, with you we'll do anything, because I know we're not going to lose money with you. Even if we do, you somehow or the other compensate us for this. And that's the reputation that I had created in the last few films. So he said, sir, we'll do it. I said, take the film. Whatever you make out of it, give it to me. If you don't make out of it, I'll pay for it. So I gave them the first film practically free of cost, excepting for the print cost or publicity, whatever. And they released it. And I released it in Bombay in one theatre in Maratha Mandir at Bombay Central. When I released it the first day, I went and sat in the last row in the downstairs, and I saw the reaction of people coming. It was called Sacha Jhoot, and people were very intrigued, and they were reading the posters and saying, "Ye kya hai? Hindi film hai, English film hai kya?" And I said, in Hindi. The first show went lukewarm. The second show started filling up a little better. Because there's a lot of word of mouth, ye log batate hain. So the third show was full. And after that, it was absolutely running to houses. I was shocked. I used to go there and there was like a queue. And this became a roaring success. The media picked it up. Ki, bhai, what is this new thing happening? And after that, it just took off. When it took off, I had to release Schindler's List, which was also dubbed. I released that in
Just so I know, you released in Bombay American films dubbed in Tamil or Hindi?
Hindi. In Hindi. American films I dubbed only in Hindi. I didn't release it in any other language. This was a trial.
ठीक.
I didn't do that. So this was in Hindi. When it went to the BNC centers, which my distributors told me, and they called me up and they said, "Sir, we are getting a tremendous response to this because they haven't seen action like this ever in Hindi or Tamil films." So I said, "Very well, sir, or lijiye, get some more films." I said, "Okay." So Schindler's List was a story where I released it for the sake of, I mean, that was for me not a money-making thing. For me, it was my tribute or of a way of showing my love and respect I have for this great filmmaker called Steven Spielberg. Though I know it wouldn't run here because there is no connect between Schindler's List and the Indian audience. There's no connect because what happened in the World War II, Germany and everything has no connect with Indians. But I released it all the same. It ran.
हालांकि Indians भी occupied थे for a long time, but
Yes,
छोड़ें.
yes, but but that didn't do well for me. It didn't matter because I released it. For me, it was a proud moment. But not realizing how later, which I will talk about, it gave me an entry into Steven Spielberg's company SKG Enterprises, and they invited me to.
इस पे हम करेंगे.
इस पे करेंगे. It's a very interesting story about this, which we'll talk about later. Coming back to this, after, of course, Schindler's List was a disaster financially, but for me I didn't care. After that, I went back to Sarabjit Singh and said, "Bol bhaiya, so everything is good." He said, "Which film do you want now?" So after that, we tried to do a lot of other action films like James Bond, GoldenEye, and Jurassic Park, Anaconda, all everywhere where there was action. We tried a couple of films which we took, and they succeeded well and did well. So this whole shift from South films, Tamil films to Hollywood film was a change which I did. What I'm coming back
not
to,
just something you did, but it's fair to put the word vision.
that's what I was coming to. Now today, you will see all TV channels, all of them are showing Hindi films in English, in Hindi. All other films, even the South Indian channels, are showing English films in their own language, in Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Karnataka. This has become the trend now. And this nobody had realized in 90s when I had this vision and everybody was laughing. So I would say in some form or the other, I have been a very, very a kind of a pioneer who had the vision to do this earlier, and now everybody is following it, which I'm so happy about. And I need to put this out to the world to explain to them that this happened in 90s. It was like Raj Kapoor made Mera Naam Joker ahead of time, and it failed. So it is something I identify with that he was a visionary. And he made this film.
और अब वो लोग जाके वो बैटमैन वाला जोकर देखते हैं.
And today it's become a cult film. So similarly, my vision of dub films, of bringing the all genres of film, all languages of films to mainstream cinema in their respective languages is a great thing which I've contributed in my own small little way to the industry and to the film goers, where today they are all enjoying it. Today in China, for example, Chinese market is the biggest market today in the world. Do you know that Amir Khan's film was released as a sample, dubbed in Chinese, was released, and it was a super success, and a new area or new territory, so to speak, has opened up. And today all our Indian filmmakers and Tamil filmmakers are now dubbing films in Chinese. It's become a new market and there's big money in it, very big money, right? Today films like Pushpa 2, RRR, all these big Rajamouli films, Bahubali, they're all being dubbed in 5 languages. Who started this? Who started this? At that time, they would have laughed at me, but who started it? I was the one who started this, and now every film you go to Netflix, you go to any of these films. After a while, Hindi version, Tamil version, Telugu version, English version, Kannada version. They are showing these films in all languages. It's reaching out to the world. And if it's going abroad to China or to any other American, European language, they're being dubbed over there. But they're all being accepted. So the whole world, because of the language issue being solved now with dubbing, has become close and small. In Hollywood films coming here, Indian films going to Hollywood and to the rest of the world. This is what dubbing has done, and that's why I wanted to have a separate discussion with you on the opening of the dubbing area, of the dubbing trends, as we call, and today everybody is following it. This is something that I wanted to convey to everybody.
It's amazing that it's become something normal today, but when it started with you, it was because of a same thought. It was a very simple thought that there is a lot of audience that doesn't get to see all this. I want them to see this. So simple. It's a very simple thought.
Yeah.
Right? But today, in a more inflated way, in a more grander way, it's happening. The thing that you said about your potential, we will say potential because we don't know what the end result is. Your potential meeting with Steven Spielberg is something that we perhaps will touch in the next episode. Would you like to tell the audience? Would you make this a cliffhanger?
It wasn't a meeting with Steven Spielberg. It was a meeting with his partners, Gatzenberg. You know, SKG is Steve, Kaffen and Gatzenberg. The SKG part was handling the animation part. So I couldn't meet Steven. I still haven't met him. I'm waiting for that day. Hopefully it happened. But my meeting with SKG campus was something. I remember even the sticker which they put on my chest when you enter, put a sticker. I've retained that sticker today. For me, it was a lifelong remembrance. Sometimes things happen when you meet some people. So for me, but we'll talk about that later.
That's definitely in the upcoming episodes.
Yes,
I would like to warn you, the audience, to look forward to that interesting
is good.
Story.
Dubbing, again, was a niche area, which was a very grey area. I brought it out. So I always keep looking for areas which nobody can see. They're there, but they can't see it.
Before we sign off, last question, a very important question. I probably know you will say that it's too late or whatever, but would you get into filmmaking again? Over the next 10 years?
I don't think so, Asad. My feeling is the filmmaking from the time I was there has completely changed. It's been corporatized now. It's like what Hollywood was and is, and now it's Hollywood that is coming to India. Today you will see all the big names, Columbia, Paramount, Universal, SKG, everybody coming to India. Because their markets in America are saturated. They're looking for newer markets, and they found India to be a very big market. So today they have opened their offices, and today, like Jio, like 18 channel, and the other big channels which are there, today the game has changed. Today these big studios are themselves financing films and making them. The producers have become servants of these big studios. So they go with a proposal to the studio that I have a subject and this is what it is. They say, give us a budget and we'll make it. And they give them a budget, then these studios produce it. And the main thing in this is the ownership of the intellectual rights, which are the negatives. The negative of the film is your asset, which you create. When all these filmmakers, when they make and they have a library, then their asset is the negative of the film, which they sell later on and use it, because that's a complete. That's your money bank which you have, and you give it for one release in the TV. You get a couple of crores. You release it, on satellite or anything, you get it, you sell it satellite. So that's your bank which you have. Only the share of the percentage sharing of the negative rights is where
That's where the business is.
that's where the dispute arises. I mean, a big filmmaker, for example, Karan Johar or Yash Raj and all, they have a better negotiating power with these studios that they will keep 60% of the share of the negative and 40% the rest completely give away their negative rights or something like that. But that's the only thing that happens. So money getting has become a lot more easier with these big studios coming in the deep pockets. Earlier, we used to, if we had to make a film or the other producers had to make a film, their investment was they had to borrow money from local financiers. And these loan sharks, as we call them, were charging anything between 3 to 4% per month interest on their money. And you could not release a film till their money was paid because they owned the negative of the rights. They made it in writing. So at 3-4% per month, can you imagine where a film could took 6 months to 1 year or maybe
Well,
2
now
months?
so it's a more level playing field.
Yeah. So can you imagine the kind of money that added up in the interest? So the producers used to make money only film the super hit because they're paying a large interest. Now the question of interest is gone. So there's no interest. Now the production houses like these big companies, they give you the money based on the progress of the film.
They have more control.
They have more control. It's like an escrow account, so to speak, like we have in real estate now. The money doesn't go straight
इतना
to the...
करेगा तो इतना पैसा.
Itna karega, you show your progress and you keep getting the money. So the producer
think that's fair?
I think that's very fair. I think that way the control of money is kept very well by these big production houses, and they control their money and monitor it. And the producer has to report to them on everything that goes on, or probably a representative of the studio is always present when they're shooting to keep a control on the money. So that system which is there, where the producer could make extra money because he was making it, but then he was paying a high price for it. So उन्होंने अपने अपने घर बना लिए थे उस वक्त सब. So this is now stopped and it's become more commercialized. And I think that's the right way to go. So with this thought, I think we'll end today's thing. But I have to tell you before I sign off, Asad, that my book, I Did It My Way, is we fixed the dates. We got the copies of it recently, yesterday. And we did the first show of it in my party on the 1st. And we have fixed the dates of the release on 8th of February for the release in Dubai, and 28th February for the release in Bombay. So those dates have been fixed, and a lot of known celebrities and known people from Dubai and Bombay, of course, will be attending that. And we look forward to that release. But what happened surprisingly was I was approached by a very national award winner, Mr. Brahmanand Singh, who's made Jagjit Singh's Kagaz Ki Kashti, which you all must have seen on Netflix, and the R.D. Burman story, made by him. He is a very famous documentary. He came to me one day with his friend Gagan Mudgal, and he said, I've been reading your podcast and all that, and you know what, I want to make a documentary on you. I was taken aback, and I said, documentary on me? He said, sir, you do not know the potential of the book which you have. This book could become a potential for a script of a very good movie. So I said, wow, I didn't realize that. He said, you know what, I want to make a documentary on you, a 50-60 minute documentary, because you have so much of material from the 1940s to now, and your association with the film people, your friends, your business opportunities, and how they would talk to you about. See, I think we can make a very nice documentary. I said, let's talk about it first. Let me release my book and then we'll talk about it. But who knows?
I'm so happy that this news was released on a podcast that I was part of.
Yes.
So I will pat myself on the back.
Yes, you must.
Thank you very much.
But this is something that I wanted to share with the audience. But let's see what happens. Leave it out in the zone. It may or may not happen. But God is great. Let's see. You don't know what's going to happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.